try to get my feet.
Yeah, let's see if we can get comfy here.
My butt is definitely gonna hurt after this. But oh well, there's not much we can do about that.
I guess
I
not.
don't have
'Cause
my special butt cushion.
my butt's gonna hurt also too.
My
But
butt cushion. Have you
well-
looked into butt cushions?
You mean like hemorrhoid donuts?
Yeah,
Why am I looking into butt cushions?
because your butt hurts when you sit. I went and got a butt
Why are we
thing.
talking about this?
I drive it in my car all the time because I gotta drive hours down to San Diego.
No, Dave, I've never looked into hemorrhoid donuts because
Well, they
I've
don't
not
have to be
needed
hemorrhoid donuts. There's similar things that are like, you know, I use it when I drive down to San
Please
Diego.
clarify that you're asking me if I've ever looked into butt cushions.
Yes.
Ugh.
I'm asking you that.
No, Dave. I can safely say without lying to you, I've never looked into butt cushions.
Well, that's a darn shame because it changed my life. Well, we don't got to look for banter on this one.
No, I guess not.
That was not an attempt either, Mike. That was a genuine question. I can show you my butt cushion.
I do
that
not
drove
want to
up here.
see your butt cushion.
It's really nice.
I don't care. I don't care.
It's whatever. It's really comfy.
That is not something you brag about.
just
You do
like
not
a
brag
thing.
about your butt cushion.
There's a
You
hole
don't
in the
say,
back.
dude, man, I got to show you this butt cushion
It
of mine.
prevents it from putting all the pressure on your tailbone.
Cool.
Like that's what it's for.
Great.
It's not the hemorrhoid one.
Awesome.
It's great. It is great.
Keep
I
it
can
to
feel
yourself.
My tailbone misses it already.
Listen. I'm not going to worship anything that your butt has touched.
You don't have to worship it. You just have to see that it's useful.
Why do I have to see that it's useful? Why is this something that's going to enrich my life? Why?
Does your butt hurt?
Not out of like normal context.
Like in your ride to like work and back, does your butt ever hurt?
No.
Okay, well that's fine.
All right, welcome back to the Why Do I Talk to You podcast. I think I'm still Saul Starsheep 4.
Last time I checked. Let me see. Look at you. There you are.
Don't look
You're
at me.
looking Good.
Don't
You're
look at
looking
me.
Good, buddy.
Don't look at this.
And this is Dave Gamer, Dave Naple.
All right, we're trying a little bit something. Well, we're trying something different, I guess. This is how we're gonna be. We're gonna how are we gonna do this?
I'm gonna spice it up.
Yeah, why don't you take this, Dave? My tongue is kind of.
Putting me on here. Yeah, well, we just decided we were listening back to our other episodes and we were talking about a lot of stuff that we just generally agreed on, like Undertale and Pokemon Gold and Silver, and we really liked episode 2 on the Disney Renaissance, and we think we liked it because we had some interesting discussion points where we got to go back and forth a bit. We got to do that a little bit in our last episode about Mario and Luigi, more than I think we initially thought we would. But this time we wanted to sort of intentionally go back and try to find a movie that maybe we don't think exactly the same on. And we went with the low-hanging fruit. Get it? Because this is a movie about monkeys. And we chose Tarzan. Are you regretting putting me in charge yet, Saul?
Perhaps. I regret everything I put you in charge of.
Here we go. Fortunately, you don't do that too often.
No,
but-
and you can see why.
Yeah. So we did. We just watched Tarzan. And yeah. Do you want to go into the history of Tarzan? We sort of hit on a lot of this in our Disney Renaissance episode on sort of what led up to it.
All right, you
but
want history? Tarzan, end of the Disney Renaissance, end of story.
That is not untrue. But it's just going to be difficult like this off the bat. Remember we have you give such a nice intro about how this movie came before it and they were doing something different with
Forget
Tarzan.
that. They weren't doing something different with Tarzan.
They were doing something different.
How?
How are they not doing something different?
That's not an answer.
You're just being difficult.
You're not giving an answer. You have to give an answer to that.
If you're saying that it ended the Disney Renaissance, then you're saying by definition it did something different than the rest of the Disney Renaissance. Do you disagree that Tarzan is the same as the rest of Disney Renaissance? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it takes the same approach. It's one singular character. It's developing on the character's life. You know, from birth up to like adulthood or whatever like that.
Well, they don't do birth to adulthood in very many of these.
Well, I mean, it's still just like the life of this character and like
Tarzan.
the life of Tarzan, and you know, there's problem solved by main character. main character happy in the end.
All right,
The
well-
basis of this is the same.
Well, we like that in the other Disney Renaissance movies.
Okay.
So why don't we like it in this one?
Well,
Saul.
that's kind of a
By we, I mean you.
that is a broad question.
All right, well, let's get started.
All right. So Tarzan. So, I mean, let's be fair. I'm going to start with the things that I like about this, okay?
Yeah.
Because let me say it straight up. I don't hate this movie at all. It's not going to be my first choice of Disney movies or even just movies in general that I'm going to want to watch.
No, not for me either.
We literally just, we watched it together right now, just to refresh ourselves on it. And that was cool. We are just goofing on it and whatever. And you know what? I can't even remember the last time I saw it up until now. It had to have been years, like 5 years, 6 years at the most.
I mean, it's been years for me too, but I remember it. It was within the last 4 years because I watched it with my wife.
Well, there was a lot of things that I didn't remember. Like when we were watching it again, I was just kind of like, whoa, I don't remember this scene. And Dave was like, you don't remember this scene? I was like, no, I really don't. I mean, maybe because I kind of lose interest at like around the times that those things happen. But anyways, okay. So the things that it does right, okay. Still hand-drawn animation. It still looks nice. The integration of CG is dated now, but like back then, it's like, yeah, okay.
It's mostly good. There are a few parts where it's like, it didn't work great, but
It's very noticeable nowadays. It's like
Yeah.
extremely noticeable nowadays, but I can't fault it for that. It's 1999, you
Well,
know.
I mean, you can fault something for not aging well. Like you can look at a game on the N64 and be like, that didn't age well, or like, you know what I mean? Where like,
I mean, yeah,
Ocarina
but that's not
didn't
going
age
to
well.
that's not going to stop me from playing Mario 64.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that doesn't mean you can't. If it doesn't age well, it doesn't age well. Like you can make art styles that don't age well, even on old machines. But
I guess.
yeah,
So the art style is cool. Some of the pacing in the movie is also done pretty well.
I think the pacing in the movie is done pretty darn well.
Yeah.
Like it never feels like slow, where you're like, all right, get on with it. Like
Yeah, and I got to give you that too. Some of the pacing, I'll say there are some horribly unnecessary things in the movie.
Like what?
The trash in the camp.
It's just a fun song.
Whatever.
We had this discussion with Le Poisson before. It's just a fun song. You put it in there and you have fun. Everybody has a good time, and then you move on.
Maybe you have a good time.
You have.
I have a good time during Le Poisson because it's one of our characters who you may or may not like just getting hurt a lot. And like a lot of hilarious things are happening. Just the French song in general is just a stereotype. This one is just, I'm hitting stuff.
Well, it is made by.
It
It was written by. It was written by a dumber.
That's all I think about. Like when I hear something like that,
It's super catchy.
whatever.
It is.
I mean, like, and I'll talk about the soundtrack later, but that is not going to be the song that I'm going to come back to on the soundtrack, though.
I think that might be the only song you come back to on the soundtrack.
Not
but
me.
We can talk about it.
Absolutely not that song. There are some. I mean, we'll move on anyways. Still the good stuff. I'm still trying to focus on the good stuff. Okay.
I feel like I'm helping you. Like whatever.
The acting is cool. There is nothing that ever seems phoned in, nothing that ever seems wooden. I mean, even from Tarzan, who's supposed to, me Tarzan, like none of that is ever wooden. Like it's good. Colors are nice. I mean, like the backgrounds are really nice too, to show this like vast forest.
Yeah,
like it's
you were really like that scene with like the first one with the elephants, with like kind of the waterfall and the misty and like the water.
yeah.
and the
That's all
jungle.
really nice. Really.
Yeah. You run out.
I'm trying to think.
You run out already, there, bud?
I'm trying to think of some jokes that worked, but like, I mean, most of the times that I think of something
I don't really
funny.
think of any of the jokes.
Yeah,
because they're all delivered by Rosie O'Donnell. So.
The only time I really think of something funny is like from like Jane's dad.
Jane's dad is actually pretty funny.
I mean, because that's like
it's a good sense.
It's
of humor
from dry
with him.
British wit, though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
that's like a gimme. I will stop right there. How about you, Dave? What are the things that you like?
I mean, it's just a fun movie. Like, I agree that it's not something that I'm going to be like, oh, we're going to watch a Disney movie. Like, how about Tarzan? But it's not like I watch it and I enjoy it. Like, there's never a part where I'm like, Tarzan's so dumb. Like,
Tarzan's so dumb.
Tarzan. All right, we're not going to do that joke. Kerchik agree. Tarzan dumb.
Sorry, that's an inside joke.
But Like the only thing that I think about where it's a little awkward is some of the animation looks a little out of place. We were kind of talking about that where there's a couple scenes with Jane where she's like flailing her arms when you first meet her, where it doesn't look like the animation of the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Or like the Gennaro pirates, where it's like, you guys don't look like anything else that's been in this movie at all. Like,
and it's weird because the movie is a little stylized. Like it is Disney style, but a little bit beyond that.
Yeah, it's almost like I was saying, the pirates look like something that's straight out of like Pocahontas. Like they look like they ripped it out of like an older Disney movie, but like you juxtapose it with the art style they did in Tarzan, and it's just like it's really different. Like they kind of just phoned it in on those background characters. Which, to be fair, they're in like 3 scenes. Like
that's true too. Right.
But I mean, it's fine. Like it has the opening is like nice, and you get a real background on Tarzan. Like the pacing where he like has to, like you get that he like doesn't fit in, and then he like his parents are killed by Sabor, and then it comes full circle where he gets to kill. Like that happens pretty quick. Like I didn't realize too quick. I disagree, because then it transitions into what's like really happening in the movie. Like it's a nice sort of Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Like
I mean, I get
it breaks
that
up
it's
really
like a
nicely
I
without
get
it being
that it's like a
completely
medley.
abrasive.
You know, it's supposed to be like a medley and like an abridged like sort of like life there. I mean, I get that too, but
it's not even about that. It's showing this transition from like Act 1 is him trying to get accepted, and then he gets it, but then like something else happens that like challenges that, and it's paced well. Like you really are disappointed when it's like Kerchak. You're like, oh, Kerchak's gonna say something nice, and then it's like, oh, like something else happened. Like
you mean in that one scene after he finally gets the boar?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Were you confused?
No, I thought you meant just in general, like
no, yeah, like
you really thought Kerchak was gonna say something nice there.
Well, in that one moment,
yeah,
like not before, but like that's what it was all building up to, sort of. Like I don't know, it I don't know if I want to use the word parallel. It just like it harkens back to things that happened earlier in the movie pretty well. Like it all comes together pretty nicely. So I mean, yeah, it's not like the deepest. Like, do I think Tarzan's character is like super interesting? Like I think in like Tangled, or like no, like is Jane much of a character? Like not really.
Yeah.
But like, is Clayton multidimensional? Like not really at all. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy him as a villain. I like.
Yeah, that's gonna be something interesting about this whole episode, because it might make you come off as like a huge Tarzan fan and make me come off as completely anti-Tarzan.
We're both pretty like whatever. It's just that I look at it, I'm like, whatever, this movie's inoffensive, and you're like, whatever, this movie isn't worth my time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think
like
so.
I'm like, I'm willing to be entertained by this movie, where you're like, I could be watching anything else.
I could be. I very much could be.
Again, that's not wrong.
Could be watching Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis,
Gosh,
but no.
Okay.
But
Saul, that's my favorite. I never
could be
knew
watching
this about-
Muppet Treasure Island,
could be
but
watching
no.
Muppet Treasure. The TV tried to tempt us. It's coming up next, Muppet Treasure Island. We're both like, we could
TV
podcast.
tried to tempt us.
It did. How do you explain that? Like, what's the connection between Tarzan and Muppet Treasure Island? They both have a jungle scene. Like,
I mean, they're both Disney movies. That's the connection.
Yes. I don't even remember when Muppet Treasure Island came out. Was that close to Tarzan?
I think so.
It had to be before.
I think Muppet Treasure Island was 1998, so actually it was a year before Tarzan.
I guess, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Whatever. Anyway.
So, okay. I will say outright, the biggest thing that I do not enjoy from this movie, is the music. I very much do not enjoy the music of this movie. I very much do not. This, as we said in our second episode regarding the second Disney Renaissance, if there was or isn't, is a departure. The biggest movie, the grand movie that we had before Tarzan was Hercules, right?
No, Mulan.
It was Mulan. Okay.
Because we commented that we always forget Hercules came before Mulan.
Okay, right. And golly, if we're talking music, Mulan did it right.
Yeah.
If we're talking music, Hercules did it right too. Yeah. Tarzan, though, took it in another way. They took the Toy Story route. They didn't have any of the characters, except for a few instances, where any of the characters sang the music.
Yeah, Mama Monkey sings
two
lines, and then she said, and take it, Phil Collins.
Yeah. and then all the annoying characters take Trash in the Camp. And I do say all the annoying characters.
I mean, all the annoying character.
Oh, okay, all right. All the annoying character sings Trash in the Camp.
Yeah.
And that's it. Now, again, it worked for Toy Story. Here, though, man, it just seems so inappropriate. The first whole medley I guess, of scenes of Tarzan's life as a baby, like, would be completely inoffensive to me if it weren't for the music. Two Worlds, the opening song, like, starts right away during a very, very devastating boat fire. Like, it's a very scary, like,
Everyone
boat fire
died.
with the parent. Yeah, everyone died except for Tarzan's parents. They're trying to get him out of here. And what do you hear? Put your faith in what you most believe in. And you're just like, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Look at this. This is hellfire.
You gotta get inspired for
Oh
this
my
movie. They're like,
gosh.
yeah, don't you believe that they're gonna make it?
Sure,
Spoiler, they don't make it.
but
Dang,
like,
what a mislead.
it seems so inappropriate that they didn't have to start the song Two Worlds right then and there. They could have started with some underscoring or something like that. Mark Mancina, who actually did the scoring he did some scoring work for The Lion King also.
Yeah.
But also we talked about this recently, Moana. I mean, I didn't say this then, but the score for Moana is also a little bit just okay for me. The songs are on a completely different level, but I think the score itself is like, yeah, okay.
I thought it did a good job of incorporating like the sort of the native sounds or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
there were a couple parts where I was like, this is very well. During the coconut scene, actually, I was like, it's whatever. It felt very generic somehow, but
See,
it's not bad.
I hate to say this, but like, that kind of sums up Mark Mancina. It's just generic. You know, I don't have
obviously good enough. Disney
I don't
likes
have his
him.
job. Yeah, Disney obviously likes him. He is. I mean, just like David said, he is good at incorporating the theme of the movies that he's scoring for.
The sound in this movie sounds very jungly. And
Yeah, I'll give you that. But
like the whistles and like, yeah.
But all I'm saying is that they could have started like that too, like without an actual song, with some intense underscoring or something like that, because it's an intense scene.
Didn't they kind of start with that when they do the random like cut into like Tarzan, the big word or whatever, where like the log explodes?
That doesn't
into-
count because it goes straight away into Two Worlds. There is no time to actually take in the scoring because it just goes straight away into Phil Collins.
All right, well,
And then we move forward in this medley. They like somehow completely build this wonderful treehouse away from
that's really impressive.
to
Like,
keep
wow,
away from
that's-
jaguars or leopards, and then a
That's
leopard
like
comes.
like if I got to live there, I feel like that's a step up from where I live in now. Like, you know
You're
what I
not
mean?
lying. It would be for me too.
They were living it up.
Fresh air, berries,
Monkey
meat.
No wonder Kerchak didn't trust them.
And now here's the thing. The song doesn't end. The song does not end. And you know what? We don't actually get to hear the end of the song until the end of the movie. So I kind of get what's happening right there.
Oh,
But
yeah.
man, is it just frustrating. It is so frustrating because every time the song happens, the main focus is the song. There's never any dialogue happening during the song. We get to see the parallel
Those
worlds
lyrics
of
would be
Tarzan
weird
and
if it
his
was.
parents and Kerchak and Kala and like their baby that, you know, actually really devastatingly gets taken away by Sabor. Oh, but yeah, well, okay. Sabor just like hope, and then there it is.
Well, that's another one down.
But the whole time again, except for like that whole scene right there, the music gets cut off, and then Sabor
It's got off
home.
for a long time when
Yeah.
she's like looking through the treehouse or whatever too.
And then it comes back again when Kala's like walking around listless and sad and whatnot. And then she hears a baby cry like 50 miles away because women's intuition or mother's intuition, I guess.
Well, he had the high ground, so it really traveled. You know?
Okay, whatever. And then again, the song stops. Screeching halt, I must say. And then a whole scene happens here, then yada, yada, yada. And you'd expect maybe the song to come back again because now we're like into some stability, but it does not. And in fact goes into a new song. You'll Be in My Heart, right? Which is actually sung, the first couple lines is sung by Glenn Close, Kala. And then yeah, take it away, Phil. And then just like goes back into Phil's. I'm just like, wait a minute. Weren't you singing another song not like 5 seconds ago? And the song is fine too, but I feel so like this was just not executed well. It could have been executed way better because it had been executed way better in the past in other movies. And like, and it's just a little disappointing and a little like frustrating musically because after You'll Be in My Heart, then like Tarzan transitions into like a little boy and then we have like plot happening and whatnot. And then all that notwithstanding, like I'm still like, it's just it's not executed well is just what I'm trying to say.
Okay, well, I'll put in my 2 cents. There's not a song in this movie that I don't like. It's not that I'm like I wouldn't listen to them like I would listen to other Disney movies, but I'm never in a song and like, I don't like this song, or like I'm not having fun listening to this song. I think all the music is fun. Now, is it integrated as well into the movie? Like, no, it's not. And they weren't trying to.
They weren't trying to?
No, they weren't trying to integrate it in the same way as they were in the other Disney Renaissance movies, because the characters weren't even singing it. This was like, I mean, we joked with this, but it was kind of like the Randy Newman level stuff where he's just singing about what's happening. Like, if you listen to the lyrics, it's not like some deep, like, philosophical thing. It's like literally what's happening. It's like, oh, nothing can dry a mother's tears, and like mama's crying. It's like, oh, that is actually what's happening. And like, let me show you this thing while Tarzan's showing Jane birds or whatever it was, you know? Like, it's just kind of, it's just background to whatever's going on. They were not trying to incorporate it in the same way as the other Disney Renaissance movie. And that's what sets this apart for better or worse. Like, that is what makes it different. But they weren't trying to do the same thing. Now, I mentioned this when we were watching it, and he was like, oh, this is, like, it went to a completely different song. They didn't even finish the first. And I'm like, yeah, but all the songs are basically like the same. Like, I feel like the movie, and maybe you like this, because I was thinking about it, it's like, maybe this is what they were trying for, and they're like, yeah, we thought it was really cool, but like, it feels like it's just kind of one long string of one song, where like, yeah, they're actually different songs, but like, depending on the tone of the movie, it's just like, here's a different song that feels like we could go back to Two Worlds at any moment.
That's not really how you do it, though. Like, when I think of that,
that's not how they used to do it, but maybe they were trying something different.
Bad decision. When I think about a movie that does that, I will immediately think of Nightmare Before Christmas, where like each of the songs are different. They have their own different character and feel to them and whatnot. But if, like, when's the last time you seen Nightmare?
I've never seen it. Never seen that movie, Solomon. Well, this is it, folks. This is the last episode. I hope you enjoy.
You know what, Dave? Just
I'm
please
not making it
continue.
home
Just please continue your thoughts.
No, I did, and I'm not saying.
Okay,
it's
so
a good thing or a bad
let
thing.
me just explain it to you, I guess, or anybody else who hasn't.
I mean,
seen
I've heard some of the music, but I haven't seen it. You know, in the context
well,
of
it's
the movie
not.
to see like
It's
how
not
it works
just
or
that,
whatever.
like, because I know you've heard some of the songs.
Yeah.
Like the music, like whether it's underscoring or songs, never stops in that movie. It absolutely never stops. There's always a bit of underscoring. I think there's seldom a time where there's actual complete silence. It moves kind of like an opera, kind of like an operetta, like very much a musical, where like there's a song here, then there's underscoring that will transition right into the next song. Even if there's like a long bit of time between the songs, it feels like it doesn't stop. That's where I think like that idea is done super well. When you have an idea the way that you're saying, to me, that says boring. That says monotonous. That says like, I wrote the same song 4 times.
I mean, I'm not saying that's not what he did, but it doesn't mean I don't like. Here's kind of the thing too. We talk about this a little bit too, where you're like the song has to move the movie along, and like so in a movie like this where the songs are like happening outside of what's happening in the movie, like I can totally understand why you're like, this is dumb, I don't like it, whatever. Whereas I'm just like, man, if you're playing a good song and it's fun to watch, like cool, I'm having fun, and that's what this is like.
But
taking
you
these outside,
don't
taking these outside the context of the movie. Do you like these songs or not? Like, just like the song by itself, if you were just listening to it.
I mean, maybe.
Yeah, like I enjoyed it.
I don't think any of the songs are bad. I don't think any of the songs are bad. I just don't think they work in the movie.
They don't take me out of the movie. I don't know.
They take me out of the movie. It's freaking Phil Collins.
Well, I mean, there's famous people singing in other Disney movies.
So yeah, to your credit, I don't feel that way for Toy Story, and the songs in Toy Story, also like kind of do the same thing the Phil Collins songs
exactly
do.
The same
they
thing.
just sort of like highlight the film or the scene that's going on.
Yeah.
It's different though, because we're talking about a different studio that had like a different approach and wrote a movie that wasn't like other movies. Like it wasn't trying to be included in the Disney Renaissance. They were just trying to make a movie. You know what I mean?
I guess.
In this one, it had a lot of weight and like responsibility because it had great power. Therefore, it has great responsibility.
I just don't think you can put that on it. Like they were just trying to make a good movie.
Do you think the songs work as well in that movie as it does in Lion King? Aladdin. You like Aladdin a lot, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying the way that they don't work as well as they do in a movie that I don't like Pocahontas. Like it's not about by definition, they're intentionally, I don't think they wrote this movie and were like, guys, this is going to be just as good. It's going to be the same level of integration. Like, it's great. Like, they were intentionally doing something different, and the integration was never going to be as much as it was going to be in a Broadway style animated feature where you could have these characters singing the song. Like, that, this was never going to be, you could put any of those Disney Renaissance movies like on Broadway, but not this one, and they did that on purpose. And if you prefer the other way, cool, that's fine. I do too, but it doesn't mean this way is bad.
I mean, do you think the majority of people, Disney fans, prefer it this way or they prefer it the other way?
Well, based on this movie's popularity, I'd say they prefer it the other way.
So, I mean, I think we might be able to objectively say that it was a bad way then.
No, you can't objectively say something just because it's the popular opinion. That is such a fallacy. You can say that it didn't work. You can say that it didn't work for Disney's fans, right? That doesn't mean that it's like strictly bad. Maybe someone could have done this and done it. Maybe if this had caught on, maybe DreamWorks would have done a Prince of Egypt to this style and they would have done it better. Like, who knows? Like,
you know what? Thinking about this, the music in this one is very similar to the way the music is integrated in El Dorado.
No,
very similar. Think about it. Can you think of
so.
a song in El Dorado right now? First of all, that's probably hard.
I don't know how that one popped into my head, but that's the only one I can actually think
I'm
of.
thinking of it because they also end the movie with this, the on the trail we blaze, like. Where, like,
they did kind of do that.
All he's doing is just like,
Yeah, I kind of know what you're talking about.
we blaze. Like, that's all I remember from that song.
Yeah.
I don't even remember any songs happening before that, but I think there was.
The thing with Road to El Dorado though was it was trying to be like a Disney Renaissance movie. It was trying to do it in that same style, and yet the music was so disconnected that it just felt bad, man. Whereas in Tarzan, it's not trying to do that.
I mean, I disagree. I think now that I think about it, I think the music integration to El Dorado is almost exactly like it was in Tarzan, and yet the music integration in Prince of Egypt is like exactly like like Disney Renaissance in its heyday.
Yeah, it is.
And so it's great, but like, so what makes you think El Dorado is not exactly like the integration on Tarzan?
Because it's actually sung by the characters, for one.
Is it? Well, It's Tough to Be a God is, but like everything else isn't.
I don't even remember.
El Dorado, El Dorado.
Literally the only songs I remember is that one line of "It's Tough to Be a God" and the mockery songs we made up for it.
Yeah, I can't think. I can't think of any other line from "It's Tough to Be a God" except for "It's tough to be a God." Oh man, we got to goof on that movie again sometime
next time. That's like in a Jungle too. Wow, something about these jungle movies didn't quite make it.
Yeah, I guess it is, huh? But
so.
Jungle Book.
That's a good movie.
That's a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just felt that the musical on the whole was not appropriate to the setting because, like, again, like, and I think it sums it up right away in the first couple of minutes where the animation is really well. You can tell that there's tension because there's a freaking boat fire and a baby that we know is Tarzan.
Yeah.
And all we have is just Phil Collins playing a pop song like the whole way through. There's that song. There's "You'll Be in My Heart." There's,
Trash in the Camp.
I'm not thinking of that one. It's the other song.
The one where he's like, what's it called? The one where he's like with Jane and like learning all this stuff.
Yeah.
I want to know. Can you show me? I want to know about these strangers like me.
I mean, yes, but there's another song before that too.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I have a degree in music, Dave.
Great. Yeah, you gotta use it. You gotta sing.
And then what? We end with like the finale of Two Worlds.
Yeah. Is that one a reprise or is that just a finish?
No, because it never finishes. You can't reprise a song that doesn't finish.
Oh, all right.
I have to look away from the mic on that one.
I know you did. I'm proud of you. Those quick reactions.
And actually, on the soundtrack, it's called Two Worlds parentheses finale. That the final bit, like on the soundtrack.
Okay.
So it actually does not say reprise.
They knew.
They knew. Yeah, so that the music is the big qualm of the movie. And I mean, since I hold music really dear especially when it comes to a Disney Renaissance movie. You know, that I feel like that's why I have such a big problem with the movie. When I separate the music away, and that's even including the score, I mean, I still have some issues with it. I mean, straight up, you can't call a character comic relief if they're not funny. And Rosie O'Donnell's character is just not funny.
No, it's really not.
You know, Newman
funny.
is kind of funny, just because you can tell he's like absolutely Newman.
Yeah.
Is an awesome name for an elephant. Tantor.
Tantor, the elephant.
The elephant.
The Stompinator.
And like, I mean, yeah, Newman is Newman, although his voice just completely stands out like a sore thumb, but that's just me.
It does.
That's just me, though.
Even to me, it's like, oh, that's
Like totally
even,
Newman.
Yeah, even if I'm not thinking, oh, that's Newman, it's like that voice doesn't fit anyone else's. Like,
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
Especially since the first time we heard Newman was as a kid, and it's just like a generic little kid's voice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not even like a Newman, like pitch
not
shifted up.
pitch shifted Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh man, that would sound so weird if they pitch shifted Newman.
Yeah.
So yeah, Newman is fine. But again, you cannot call a comic relief character comic relief if they are not funny.
Yeah.
And from the get-go, this character is just not funny. And like, I mean, I can't call a movie bad because of that, but I can call it a little bit annoying because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that can really turn you off in a movie, especially.
yeah.
I don't know.
Clayton was a fine villain. I did have an issue at one point because it just seemed like the first like 10 lines of Clayton has the word gorilla in it.
Gorilla.
And just,
gorilla.
And just
Gorilla.
and just some sort of malicious face, because you know that may as well just be like, I'm the villain. I'm the villain. I'm the
Hello,
villain.
I am the villain.
I am the
Gorilla.
villain. Gorilla. I'm the villain. And so I had to stop, and I was like, Dave, really, tell me, is there any other villain that's as much as one dimensional as this guy? And then he mentioned Shan Yu from Mulan. And I'm like,
Yeah. Shan Yu was probably the worst Disney villain pre-Frozen.
What? Oh boy. Well, I mean, like, I guess because we spent the least amount of time with Shan Yu on screen. We spent a lot of time with Jafar. We spent a lot of time with Scar. We did not spend a whole lot of time with Shan Yu.
No.
So, I mean, I'm sure that has something to do
Because
with
it wasn't as much about Shan Yu. Like, it was fine because it was more about Mulan, like, becoming who she was supposed to be. It wasn't about, like, yeah, they're at war, but it wasn't about, like, foiling this guy's plan or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's kind of how Tarzan gets away with Clayton not being a presence in the whole movie, too. Like, the first third is, like, Sabor is the threat.
Yeah.
But it's fine because it's more about Tarzan. Like, I don't know.
And that's
fine.
cool too, because like then there's a moment where like Tarzan finally does beat Sabor.
Yeah.
And that actually is pretty cool. Finally beat the shape shifting, time shifting,
The random
hammer
toys
space
everywhere,
using
yeah.
Sabor leopard.
Who just kills parents and doesn't eat them.
Yeah.
He only likes baby meat.
Only baby meat.
Gross.
Also, he doesn't speak any language that animals can
Like every
understand.
other creature in the jungle. And this is like carnivore prejudice before Zootopia. Come on, man.
Oh boy, they knew it
None
all
of the
along.
like the crocodiles don't get to talk. None of that. They got to talk on Princess and the
Speaking of
Frog.
stupid movie crossovers, who was the stupid person who said that there was a link between Frozen and Tarzan?
The people who made Frozen.
That is the dumbest thing. That is one of the stupidest things that Frozen team has ever done, and they made Frozen.
They made Frozen. Wow. Yeah. No, that was much worse.
Didn't they actually confirm that their parents were like Anna and Elsa's parents too? Didn't they actually confirm that?
Yeah, they were like, yeah, Tarzan's parents are Anna and Elsa's parents. That boat that crashed was them on their way to wherever.
Stupidest thing I have ever heard in my entire.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Fan theories are one thing, but when you have the actual team, so like, oh yeah, we knew it
We
all
meant
along.
that, yeah. They like look nothing like them either. Like I don't even have them in my head because like why would I watch Frozen? I don't remember what the parents
Yeah, I
look
don't know.
like,
Why
but
would I
like
watch Frozen?
I think I would have remembered that mustache
Also,
or that
like,
chin line or
what-
the red hair.
What
the
does
mom.
this do for any of the stories too?
Nothing.
Nothing. It
I
does
mean,
absolutely nothing.
People just like that fun thing of like, oh, it's all tied together like the Universal Pixar thing. I mean, that's why people watch Game Theory. Like I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy hearing the theory that MatPat has about like the connections between Tangled and Frozen or whatever. But like they should stay as a fun fan theory that's fun to hear. You know, it's
Yeah.
not like some of the stuff is so like it's a little far fetched, and it's just like
A little.
Yeah, well,
There's just no point to it. Like
No,
again,
there
yeah, a
isn't.
fan theory is one thing. I mean, I'm familiar with the
maybe
Pixar
they had some
story.
backup DVDs of Tarzan. They really needed to get out of the warehouse. They're like, oh, guys, we tell them it's connected to Frozen.
Hey,
Like, oh yeah,
so listen,
we just
got-
discovered this long lost warehouse. It's been there 15 years or whatever. Really got to sell these copies of Tarzan.
it's full of Tarzan, dude. It's full of Tarzan.
To the brim. Like, oh man, how are we gonna get that back? It's too late for the tax write-off. Oh gosh.
So okay, I guess that's a side note. That's not a strike against the movie. I think it's a strike against Frozen.
Yeah, basically.
Just stay out of our Disney movies. Stay out of it. Stay over there. You have enough fame. Stay.
All right, okay.
Okay.
We're talking
I gotta
about?
calm down a little bit.
Frozen really got us off track here.
Man, that's gonna happen anytime we talk about Disney.
Gosh.
No matter what,
probably.
we're gonna somehow link it to Frozen.
I think were we talking about comic relief and
We talk about comic
voices or
relief.
whatever, I don't know.
I mean, yeah. The characters that do, you know what's weird is
Oh
that
no, we were talking about villains and how Clayton.
okay.
Yeah. But I enjoy, like, I'm not saying he's not one dimensional, but he's a fun villain. He's very charming. You know, he's very British, and it's fun. And you know, I'm saying this is a dumb American. He's like, ooh, British accent, raw the pip pip, and it's just, you know, it's fun, and he does it well. Like, he is very British charming, you know, and he flips back and forth from really angry to being like very proper, and that's a fun villain trait, really, regardless of if they're British or not. But you know, and he's threatening. He's this like big buff dude who shaves with a freaking hunting knife or whatever, and
Oh jeez. Let's make him even more just like I
wow.
shave with a hunting knife.
he's got like the gray on his sideburns. Like, he looks good. He's got that strong chin line that apparently all three men who aren't the pirates have in this movie. But you know, I enjoy watching him be bad, so it's not that big a deal that he's one dimensional.
You know what he's a lot like? He is a lot like McLeach from Rescuers Down Under.
Okay.
Please tell
No,
me
I
you've
haven't
Rescuers
seen.
Down
Why would I have seen that? We had a big
gosh.
thing on the last one. Why it sticks out like a sore thumb in the Disney Renaissance. No, I did not see Rescuers Down Under. Thank you very much.
It's a nice movie.
Whatever.
It's not the greatest, but it's a nice one.
I mean, maybe. I'm not saying it's not. I haven't seen it, but I
Why
never saw any need
not?
to.
I think it's on
Because-
Netflix. It's a nice
Whatever.
movie.
Whatever. Continue with your
God.
points.
Anyways,
For those of you who have seen it.
this is the second movie that I have to explain to you in the course of one episode.
Well, get used to it.
Oh my gosh. You've not learned one bit. So, in the movie The Rescuers Down Under, which, I mean, admittedly, is not the greatest movie in the world by Disney standards, it takes place in Australia.
Australia,
and the main villain is this poacher, this like really ruthless poacher.
Crikey.
Who's after like this rare like golden eagle that like the main character like is like friends with, and in the end like the poacher is like completely willing to totally kill the kid in order to like lure out the eagle and stuff like that. Like, it's just a ruthless like poacher guy, like only in it for the money, you know what I mean? And in that movie you spend more screen time with this villain, so you do have some more room for like comic relief and whatnot. You don't spend as much time with Clayton. So that's not necessarily like a bad thing, I guess. Like, I'm just saying that like those two villains are extremely similar, I think. Sure. Not only in motivation, but like also in their one dimensionness, because there is no redeeming this other character in Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah. And, you know, it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah, I wasn't okay with the villain at first, but like now that I'm like sort of like processing it all, like I'm more okay with it, and more okay with like how very clearly one-dimensional he was.
Yeah. I think it's fine.
I'm okay with it. And I mean, like, and the death scene, I mean, the death scene is probably the best scene of the whole movie.
It's pretty good.
Very morbid to say.
Yeah. It's brutal, man.
It's very brutal. Like, I mean,
But it feels very appropriate.
The end fight doesn't last. The end fight, quote unquote, doesn't last too long.
It's pretty quick, but it's good.
Yeah. No, it ends very well, and like, I mean, stylish as all get out too.
Yeah.
The way that he dies. I think you can find it in like, you know, buzzworthy like posts of like, you know,
Disney
top
death,
10
yeah.
Disney deaths.
And Beauty and the Beast to be in there and like impaling Ursula or whatever. But I don't know. This one feels much more real because it's just some dude who literally hangs himself by accident.
It's nothing
so, like,
supernatural
some
at all.
giant squid thing or whatever.
Yeah, and that scene is very stylized, and you know and even Kerchak's death like is pretty emotional too, in a way. Just kind of like, I'm dying now, so you do it.
I mean, we were kind of goofing on the movie a lot at that point. I don't remember much of it. He dies, I guess. It's sad. And he's like, you must lead our people. Because you are literally the only other male character in this movie.
So I guess, you know, my final thoughts as far as this rewatch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess I can say that I don't hate the movie as much as I initially let on, but if anything, I hate the music even more after watching it again, if anything. I might like, you know, if the Tarzan music ended up on like a shuffle list of Disney songs,
Yeah.
like I might not turn it off.
I might not.
I might be like, no, Tarzan. Because then, like, I'll hit another shuffle, and then, like, oh, like, how far I'll go will come up, and I'll be like, oh, yeah.
It's a real gamble, though. What if, like, Frozen or Home on the Range comes up? It's
Let's be
pretty
real,
rough.
Dave. That's not going to be on my shuffle.
What if it just found its way? Well, this you're on Pandora. I was like, you want to hear this?
Well,
It's
see, that's
like,
why I don't Pandora,
no,
Dave.
No, why?
I don't do gambles with the devil.
Yeah, it is quite a gamble there.
So what about you? Do you think anything has changed in your mind about the movie?
Not really. I mean, it's still fun. Like, if I wanted to sit down and like criticize this movie, like, I absolutely could. Like, Jane is, I don't know how to feel about the whole Tarzan Jane relationship thing. Like,
What do you
it's
mean?
hard. Like, Jane has a great English accent, and she's pretty, and you know, that's about it. Like, it just feels like she shows up, and her job is to like talk in British accent and be immediately like into Tarzan's bod. Like, it just feels like it's like immediately like she's super into Tarzan, and like I love the dad's line when she's drawing it. It's like, oh, do you want
some alone time with your
the
drawing?
blackboard?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the blackboard.
like, that's exactly what this is. Like, there's not much. You know, Aaron, when he talks about like the Disney movies he likes, and is like Aaron/Ego Raptor or whatever, he talks about like the relationship between the guy and the girl is like really important to him, which makes sense for like who he is or whatever. But like he criticizes like Aladdin, which is like there's nothing between them. They're just both attractive and whatever. And I kind of disagree on that. But like Tarzan's like, yeah, there's nothing. They're just both attractive. Like, this is the first female he's ever seen, and like he's like some super like
Dude,
buff.
Turkina is a female, I think. It's never really clarified.
I mean, Ina is a very female, you know, ending to a name, but you know, it drops that at some point in the
Yeah,
movie.
what if
so-
it's like Turcoina or something?
Turcoina.
Turcoino or something.
I don't know. No, it's Turkina, and then it just sounds like turkey, but whatever. But you know, it's first female of his species that he's seen or whatever, and just like
yeah, those medley scenes are very like, oh, we're gonna like stare really deeply
yeah,
into each
it's
other's
like kind of
eyes and-
awkward, like sexual tension for like a Disney movie. There's never like talking or like funny like flirting. It's just like pure primal. Because like I guess that makes sense. Of Tarzan just like, ugh, you woman, me loincloth man. Like, what else can there be? Like, I don't. But it just feels, and it's never like uncomfortable. Like, it never feels like, oh, I can't send my kids to this because it's like too like whatever physical. But it's just like there's nothing else there. There's not that much character to either of them. It's just she's generic nice girl who draws, and he, you know.
Yeah, they didn't really give enough time to really explore that, because like there is also like, you know, Tarzan, like, you know, Jane to Tarzan represents like the world that he like supposed to belong to.
Well, it's not even, I mean, it doesn't start off like she's a woman and he's like, oh, a woman. Ooh, ooh. It's just like she's a human, and he hasn't like gotten to see
This one
that.
doesn't have a lot of hair.
Well, he doesn't have a lot of hair somehow.
Somehow.
Despite never shaving.
Maybe he does.
It's
Maybe
like,
he does a lot of all
did
those.
you not inherit your dad's facial hair genes? He had a sweet mustache.
It's all those belly flops, dude.
Just really burns off.
Yeah, and sliding on his face and stuff down the vines.
I guess so. Man, you'd think hair would be useful for that. Really keep you from burning your
or to maybe
feet, but I
integrate
guess you
yourself
never-
with the tribe, whatever. Instead, he just has these surprisingly short dreads for how old he is.
Yeah, that's true too. They're like the exact same length as when he's a child. Actually, now
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. Oh well,
But we're not nitpicking or anything like that.
whatever. It's not a big deal. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I agree with you that like it is, because like in Disney movies, we kind of have to suspend our disbelief a little bit on the falling in love thing. There's like the Beauty and the
I
Beast,
just-
Stockholm syndrome sort of thing too. In this case, it is even more weird though, because I mean, I agree. It seems even more weird in this instance too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's as bad as people tried to make it. Like after the fact, after the fact, there are all the memes like, Stockholm syndrome and like, well, I mean, okay, Little Mermaid one's pretty dumb, but it's just like Aladdin and Jasmine like kidnap her or whatever. It's just like, no, I think they're better. Like I was saying with Eager Raptor Christine, I think they're better than we give them credit for. I think it's easy to look back and be contrarian and be like, oh, this was a masterpiece of time, but it's not good. This is terrible values. And it's like, okay, it's not the best values, but it's not, I don't think it's as bad or as shallow as people say, except in something like this one where it's just kind of
this one
there.
does seem pretty shallow.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, we got to do this so that he betrays his entire, family for that hot grill,
Hot grill. So was that like the only thing that you probably could, be like, yeah, that is kind of dumb.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, when I talk about it, it's and toward the end, it's got a little bit of the Little Mermaid syndrome where it's like, no, you're just making bad decisions, Tarzan. Like you had this coming, like, but it's not as egregious as that because
And it's not without consequence either.
right. And you get to see like the good things he does first. Like that's what Act 1 of the movie is for, is to endear Tarzan to you, to get you to care about this character, and it does it pretty well. Like it does it with a really nice bookend, like I was talking about with Sabor, whereas Little Mermaid doesn't ever. It never makes you cheer for Ariel. Like there's never anything she does where she's not being a dumb teenager.
Yeah. King Triton's like, well, you messed up the whole ocean. Do you really want to be a human? Yeah. Okay.
Or, yes, get out of my ocean, please. Never come back.
Please.
Yeah, like okay.
I have 6 other daughters that are way better than you.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's just I mean, like we said at the beginning, we're sort of both like in the middle on this movie. It's just like I'm in the middle where I'll watch it and be entertained, and you're in the middle where you're like,
No.
I mean, are you offended by this movie? Does that make sense?
I'm offended by the music.
Okay.
But the whole entire package, no.
Yeah.
No, and especially after watching it again, just trying to take it apart from the music. No, the movie itself, sans music, is not offensive at all.
Yeah.
It might not be the best story ever told, but it is also not. It is not bad storytelling.
Yeah. So I've already forgotten. Maybe you should look this up. But what the movie was that came immediately after Tarzan? This is an issue we had last
I'm gonna
time,
say
too.
it's Emperor's New Groove.
So when you think about you brought this up several times, like this movie ended the Disney Renaissance. This movie ended the Disney Renaissance. It killed it dead. Like, but I mean, when you look in the list, this movie is counted in the Disney Renaissance. Like, yes, it's a bookend. It's the last one in there, but it was in there. So I mean, watching it now, why do you think? I mean, do you think this movie killed it, and like why? If they had gone back and done a like Broadway style musical, like would that have been fine, or was there something here that was just like too far gone going forward? You know what I mean?
I think that when this movie came out, that they weren't thinking, critics and people like us weren't thinking right away, oh wow, the Disney Renaissance is over.
Yeah.
Like they weren't thinking that. They were probably thinking more like
This movie got good reviews overall. Like maybe
Yeah.
not as good as like stuff before it.
yeah,
but
it did. Okay, so actually the next like major movie to come out after that, if you do not count the Tigger movie, which is not Disney proper, would be Dinosaur.
Oh, well, that explains it.
Okay.
I mean, I can't
Okay.
blame Tarzan for Dinosaur coming after it. You know what I mean? Like,
And then after that, after Dinosaur, would be Emperor's New Groove.
okay. And we talked about that where development hell and it was supposed to be a musical. And, you maybe wonder what might have been. Like, maybe it would have kept going. But
I think that Tarzan maybe on some level a scapegoat, because they did things differently.
Yeah.
They did things differently that in my mind didn't really work. But this was also, I mean, like, to be fair, this is 1999. The Renaissance started around 89. So this is 10 years of movies doing the same sort of formula.
Yeah.
Eventually it was going to have to change, or eventually the high was going to have to go down to a low a little
Like
bit.
maybe just internally they got burned out. Maybe they're just like another musical. Like, God, like
maybe
can we do something else. Like,
maybe because Dinosaur ain't a musical. Is
yeah,
it?
maybe Tarzan was like the compromise. Maybe like, okay, this worked in Toy Story, so like let's make a movie where we don't have to have the characters singing, but we'll do the Toy Story thing. We'll have someone singing, I guess.
I think that like several years after Tarzan, people can look back and be like, how come there isn't a movie like Lion King anymore? Then they look at the string of movies, they're like, oh my God, Tarzan killed the Renaissance. It was all Tarzan's fault.
Yeah.
I don't think that whoever made the movie, the team who made the movie, was setting out to end it.
Yeah.
I don't think they were also trying to. They weren't trying to do anything like that. I don't even think they were trying to make waves.
Sabotage.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think it is in some ways a bit of a whipping boy.
Yeah.
But I mean, does it deserve to be? I think so, a little bit, because it's not a good. It'd be something if it was like Lion King, and then all of a sudden they said that ended the Renaissance. Like, wait.
Sure.
But yeah, in the end, I think the evidence is there that while it did not set out to end the Renaissance, it was like the last entry of what we call proper the Disney Renaissance. And it's not just our opinion that says that. I mean, you can Google this anywhere, and it says that like everywhere that, generally accepted, the last movie of Disney proper of the Disney Renaissance was Tarzan.
Yeah. And I think if you want to talk, what this kind of reminds me of? Kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy X gets a lot of hate from like the people who loved like Final Fantasy 6 through 9 as like the game that ended like this reign of amazingness from Square. You know what I mean? Because it did things very differently. Like it was the first game since Final Fantasy 3 to use a different battle system in the mainline Final Fantasy series. It had this weird orb system. They had voice acting. I like the orb system, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it was just different. Like,
yeah, it was just very different. And, the famous scene that everyone loves to hate on.
For some reason.
I mean, it's not good, but like...
I mean, it's whatever. I'm not going to go into this right now.
But, I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean.
You play
Yeah,
that game and you're like, I see how this is completely different. And I understand that everything after this was nothing like what we had before. Like, this movie changed things, but it wasn't bad. It's not. I really like Final Fantasy X. I like, I like Tarzan just fine. Maybe not as much as Final Fantasy X, but like I like it just fine. So I think pointing the finger like it ended it is like, it is a little bit of a scapegoat. It's a little bit of like, well, this one came last, so it must be the problem.
Right, because when Final Fantasy X came out, we were like, oh wow, it's over.
Yeah, no one was like that.
No.
Like I don't like some people were from the very beginning. Like, what is this? Like, this isn't my Final Fantasy. Kind of like you're like, what is this? This isn't my Disney musical. But it's not bad. It's just different.
Yeah. So in the end, I guess I can say that the movie as an entire package was probably in a very minute scale not as bad as I remember it.
Yeah.
But the music
like
was
a 7-ish, 7.5 out of 10.
The music was just as, if not even worse.
Well,
man. And again, David said this several times already, and I just want to reiterate myself. I don't hate this movie. I don't think it's trash. Dave also does not love this movie and think it's like in the upper echelon of movies in general. It's just that, that's what kind of happens when you have to sort of defend your viewpoints a little bit.
It doesn't reach that same level that the movies in the rest of the Disney Renaissance, well, most of them reached, or like the movies that we were raving about in like this new era. It's not Princess and the Frog or Tangled or Moana. It's, it's Tarzan.
So in the end, my opinions did change, but not really for the better. What about you, Dave? I
mean, at least now you'll think of something other than Turkino when you think about this movie, right?
No, I'll think of even worse things.
Well,
so thanks. Thanks for that.
No, I'd say my opinion was just solidified more. It's just an entertaining movie, and it's not something that I'd be like, oh, have you never seen Tarzan? Oh, you got to see it. I'd be like, yeah, it's worth a watch. Like, whatever. Yeah. Like,
Man, I can't wait until we start talking about really divisive things.
We tried this time, but it still wound up kind of like, It's all right, I guess.
Yeah, I was kind of more ranting, and you were kind of more like, well, yeah, well, I mean, you know,
It's all right. I just don't care as much about this movie.
Music. Yeah, I mean, you know,
It's all right. I ruined your podcast. So
yeah, my podcast.
Feel free to replace me at your
Not your
leisure.
podcast,
If you
my
can find
podcast.
someone else to get in this nice pillow fort we built with you.
I really hoped you weren't going to say that.
You know, if Game Theory can admit that it still records out of Matt Pat's closet, I figure there's nothing
All
wrong
right,
with
fine.
saying
You
it.
want the truth, ladies and gentlemen. You really want
Ladies
the
and
truth.
gentlemen.
Here's the truth. All right. Before we were just recording like on my kitchen table, and we were getting a lot of room noise and whatever stuff like that. And Dave was like, "It just sounds bad. It sounds bad." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Just like we don't really have like a studio."
I
or
want to
whatever like
apologize
that.
personally for episodes 3 and 4 because I swear we recorded that in exactly like the same place with exactly the same equipment as we did 1 and 2, and I could not stand how much worse it sounded to me.
It is bad.
And then in episode 5, Saul was bragging about his new mic, and it sounded better, but there's something about episode 2 that I still liked better, and it was just driving me up a wall.
So I don't have the money or even like the full on
Nor
technical
do I.
know-how to soundproof my rooms or anything like that. So I decided the best way to do it, to sort of quarantine ourselves from the outside room world, is to build a blanket fort. And that is exactly what I did. We are underneath a giant blanket currently held up by some chairs
It's getting a little hot in here.
and a little bit of pillows. So you know what? There it is.
My butt
there
hurts
it
from
is.
sitting on the floor.
We'll take some pictures too, just so that we can prove to everybody this is what we did. This is our highly professional podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is
how we get you to
exactly
feel
how we do
bad
it.
for us and
This
give
is
us
how
money.
we record everything right here. My little preamp is down over here. We have our own mics. We're in a pillow fort. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. And you know what? Thank you guys for listening for this and putting up with all of this. God, I'm just gonna go through the end here. Why would you have to reveal this? Thank you very much to Danny Bear Hugh Bear for the wonderful artwork. Why would you do this to me, Dave?
They
Thank you
know
for the
now. They're
combined
closer
efforts. The
to
OC
us.
Remix, Rob KTA, expert novice for the music. It's
great
No
music.
thank you to Dave Nabel for
Much better than Tarzan's
revealing
music.
all of our stupid acoustic. Oh God. You end it. You end it.
Thanks everybody for listening. Make sure to say hello to us on YouTube, and the 5-star reviews on iTunes help us a lot. Any interaction we get on those really just helps us to get out there. And if you enjoy this, maybe someone else will too. And we would love it if people enjoyed this. So anyway, for my co-host Soul Starsheep 4 and Cena, I've been Dave Gamer Dave Naple, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Whatever.
Take care.
All right, let's get out of here.
That was good. It's not even that uncomfortable in here. I mean, my butt hurts.
My
but
butt is numb.
butt cushion.